Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hope you're doing well. We're continuing our reading of Tafseer al-Sari, and we are in Surah al-Baqarah. This deals with ayats 243 through 245, and let us begin. I found it to be very educational and annotated, but it's always good to have a refresher. I read this one, but it's good to go back, and I want to cover it on the channel. Each time you read it, you think of something new. Keep that in mind. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. 243. Have you not seen those who fled their homes in their thousands for fear of death? Then Allah said to them, Die. Then He brought them back to life. For Allah is most gracious to humankind, but most of them do not give thanks. Fight in the cause of Allah, and know that Allah is all-hearing, all-knowing. Who is he that will lend to Allah a goodly loan, so He will multiply it for him manifold? It is Allah who withholds, and Allah who gives abundantly, and to Him you will all return. Beautiful. To Him you all will return. Now here's the commentary. Here Allah tells us the story of those who left their homes despite their large numbers, and the fact that they all had one motive. What brought them out of their homes was fear of death from an epidemic or some other cause. By leaving, they wanted to save themselves from death, but no precaution could ward off the divine decree. So this is interesting because it makes me think of all the ruins. Right, we're constantly reminded of look throughout the earth and see what was of those who came before. It's a sign for a people who reason, essentially. And I found it to be unique because it's not necessarily telling us never to be prepared, because we are supposed to tie our camel, but to know that the wicked will not get away. And just because we're being tested doesn't mean that we're hated by Allah. There's so many different ways you can read that. Continues. Then Allah said to them, Die. And they died. Then He brought them back to life, either in response to the prayer of a prophet or something other than that, out of mercy, kindness, and forbearance towards them, and so as to make manifest His signs to His creation, by bringing the dead back to life. Hence He says, For Allah is most gracious to humankind, but most of them do not give thanks. So, the blessings do not make them more grateful. Rather, they use the blessings of Allah to commit sin, and very few of them are grateful and acknowledge the blessings and use them in obedience to the giver. So notice here, what I took from this is how you can be given this wonderful blessing, and instead of being grateful, you just use it to do more sins. Example, you were thankful for money, then you use that money to go gamble, or to pay a prostitute, or to pay for a vacation, and then on that vacation you do a bunch of haram behind your wife's back. Or a wife, she does something bad with the money, right, that she's not supposed to. Something like that. Something where you just invert what could have been done, right? So very few of them are grateful. So when we say all praise is due to Allah, alhamdulillah, constantly, and mashallah, and subhanallah, these forms of dhikr help keep our taqwa, our God consciousness in mind, I think. And that's what makes us different. We have to make sure that we are acknowledging the blessings. That's the difference between, I would say, Muslim women who are trying their best to be religious and non-Muslim women who are very occultic and call themselves goddesses, and they try to deflect every duty that they're required to do for a man and their family so that they can live the life of a fairy tale queen, because they'll be like, I saw one radical chick say, doing dishes isn't a reward. And the man was trying to explain to her, like, your husband's working, you get to stay home. You just have, to do some dishes after, eat or whatever. She's like, that's not a reward. You gotta pay somebody. And I thought to myself, she doesn't recognize the gratitude to have clean water, to have running water, the ability just to have food to put on those plates, the ability to be a stay-at-home mom. She has so many blessings, but she's complaining that she has to wash a plate that she ate off of, or that she has to wash the plate of someone else. And if you've ever had water go out, you begin to realize how important it is to have water right on your tap, right there, on and off, however you want. You could even adjust the temperature. So we have to acknowledge the blessings all around us and take none for granted. We can't expect to have that already. Another example. I was watching The Last of Us 1 and The Last of Us 2 video gameplay. And the theme there is like, it's basically apocalyptic. There's not the same type of running water and showers, and it's all like warring factions and surviving these zombie infected creatures. It's a very different type of existence. And then as the characters moving through that environment where cars are broken down, hospitals are gone, universities are destroyed, you begin to realize how many blessings we have that we don't even really recognize. Baby wipes, diapers, that makes life so much easier. And so we have to make sure, as this chef pointed out, that acknowledging the blessings makes us more grateful, and we have to keep that type of mindset, I'd argue. I used to do videos of Thankful Friday way back in the day, 3 years ago. And I would do those videos when I'd wake up in the morning before I'd go to work, because I hated my job. And I would have to constantly think about the blessings I have, because I had to go work with people I did not like. And alhamdulillah, I got through it, but it was not easy. But I would not acknowledge the blessings so that my heart could stomach being there when I didn't want to be. And now Allah freed me. I get to be a stay-at-home mom, and I don't have to do that anymore. It's very interesting. And I use the blessing of time now to study more. To learn more, to do more, to cook more. MashaAllah. And use them in obedience to the giver. So use your blessings in obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You got eyes? Do some good reading. You got some feet? Don't walk towards sin. Then Allah Azza wa Jal enjoins fighting for His sake, which is fighting the disbelieving enemies so that the word of Allah may be supreme and His religion may prevail. And then it says, fight in the cause of Allah, that is, have good intentions and seek thereby the countenance of Allah. So, having good intentions and the disbelieving enemies, when there's a lot of wicked people, evil cartel members, people pushing drugs, psychotic scientists who believe in eugenic sterilization, all kinds of corruption, you gotta keep doing good, keep pressing on, You can't give evil respite, because evil it just never stops, it just keeps growing, and it'll be like that until Allah demands it not be like that. So we have to be steadfast. Understand that refraining from fighting will not befit you at all. So here we see an example of Islam doesn't require us to be Buddhistic pacifists who are like, slap my cheek, slap it again, slap it, slap it, slap, 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 slap. Like if someone just wants to tie you to a tree and humiliate you every day, you don't just have to take it. Like, no, I have a right to defend myself and defend territory, defend the faith. Not just gonna allow you to shear us like sheep and then turn us into bone broth. If you think that refraining from fighting will save your lives and ensure your survival, that is not the case. Hence Allah mentioned the story quoted above as an introduction to this command, just as leaving their homes did not benefit those who left their homes for fear of death. And in fact, what they feared came to them in a way they never thought of. Then you should realize that you are the same. So, we hear this, Allah can bless you in a way you never thought of. Allah can bring your destruction in a way you never thought of. This highlights to me that you are not the end-all be-all in your brain. You can't outwit Allah. Islam doesn't tell you to worship your own brain. It does. I do believe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us a brain to use it for good, to be smart, but not to think that we could outwit God. Like some type of low-key character, something like that. Like, no. Some wild coyote type of trickster. That's just not... We're not like the Greek pagans, essentially, where their deities could outwit one another and be complete morons. You know? Or where somebody gets an elephant head because one of their deities made a mistake and chopped an innocent being's head off. You know, we don't believe in that. Okay? It's just completely different. Completely different. So what I like about Islam is that it allows people to be strong. Because a man who won't fight is a coward. See, you can have peace, but the threat of violence is what keeps peace. People forget that. Okay? The rooster is patrolling the hen house. Some hawks, some eagles, they recognize, like, hey, that's the tough guy. He ain't there. I'm swooping in. I'm taking those chicks. Right? The fox, when it wants to get in to eat the chicks, sees the rooster, knows it has to get out of the rooster's way to get those chicks. It knows the hens ain't as strong as the male rooster. So they know they have to be sneaky and get around the toughness of the male guardian because it will fight them. Right? The rooster fights off predators. No rooster, easier pickings, because the rooster has giant talons and he will peck till the end. You know, he good rooster, he's gonna fight. He's gonna fight. Right? So if animals know that another fighting animal is gonna avert them from lunch, they avoid the tough situations, right? It's all throughout the bug world, in the ocean, in the skies, everywhere. When you know something will fight back, it's harder, and they go for the easier, softer target that doesn't fight back. So being like a worm who won't fight won't save you. It's very important to realize. Laying down, belly up, it's not going to guarantee your safety. You know? Groveling at the feet of your enemy can maybe make them have mercy and want to spare you. But think of the example in Vikings Valhalla Assassin's Creed game. The main character as a boy in the beginning, his dad is a ruler, right? He says, if I let you kill me, will you spare my people? The enemy is like, yes. Then he puts down his axe, right? Goes down, and then the enemy kills him, and then says, kill everybody! And they just go crazy, and then the main character has to escape on a horse, right? So think about that. Even in video games, if you let your guard down and think, you know, this, I'll sacrifice myself for everyone else, I'll spare it, it's not gonna happen. Another example, well, I'll go too deep in history, but there's this misconception that if a leader sacrifices themselves for the group, that, you know, everyone will be spared. Now, okay, I'll nerd out too much. But you see my point. So when it mentions here that understand that refraining from fighting will not benefit you at all, and that if you think it will, and that's going to save your life and ensure your survival, that's not the case. Think about that. Just go through how many fictional and real-world examples there are. And the fiction is based upon orations of the past, right? What people saw in the past, okay? It's very important. Very important. Because fighting for the sake of Allah cannot be done except by spending wealth for that purpose. Allah enjoins and encourages spending for His sake, and He called it a loan. So spending your wealth to make the Muslim community better. I think that Muslims having a military and funding schools, having, I think schools is a powerful weapon. Information is warfare. Okay? Information is so necessary for the advancement of a people, right? Technology. And so Muslims coming together, having a parallel economy, right? Making more Muslims homeowners, more masjids, more community centers, more marriage counseling, like everything that helps make the Muslim community healthier, stronger, better, doing dawah, more fortified. That's like a goodly loan. Like, what does a Muslim need? Like, let's say Muslims in the future, they open a hospital. Do they need beds? What do they need? You name it, right? Everything that makes a Muslim stronger in how they can combat evil and oppression in the world. Both offensive and defensive. Both maintenance and expansionism. Very interesting. Who is he that will lend Allah a goodly loan and spend whatever he can afford of his wealth on various good causes, especially jihad? What is meant by a goodly loan is that which is earned in a permissible manner and is spent for the sake of Allah. So earned in a permissible manner. Very important. Because it can be so tempting to say, I'm gonna, let Twitter monetize me. Now, I'm not trying to tell anybody what to do, but what I have heard from Sheikh Qasim Al-Hakim and others is that if you're getting ads for alcohol, different bad companies, or you're gaining money from them, now the money becomes questionable, right? Because that's who you make ads for is sponsoring your content, right? You're taking money from the companies that actually undermine your religion, right? Something to think about. Like if Modelo came to you directly, the beer company, and said, we want to put ads on your videos, here's 2 cents, right? You'd be like, no, you're an alcohol company. But some things will be pushed on your pages without your consent that undermine and have a different corporate philosophy, right? So Muslims should help each other to be more monetized, sponsor each other, create that community, earn your money in a good way, in a permissible manner, so that you can use it for a goodly loan for your fellows. So he will multiply it for him manifold. The good deed brings a 10-fold reward, up to 700-fold, up to many times more. So here we see you're going to get rewarded manifold for your goodness. So remember that. Don't lose hope. Okay? Don't lose hope. According to the intention of the one who gives it, how beneficial it is, and how much it is needed. That's why I liked, if I have more money in the future, I'll do more water wells. And I donated towards Brother Sajid's school. And so I think it's important. Education, water. If I had the money, I always think about how I would donate lots of books to people who need it, tutoring sessions, and helping more Muslims become self-reliant with their own little farms. But again, each one of us has different goals, but looking for the needs of the Muslims and trying to fill that with a solution in the best way you can, right? Because people may think that if they spend, they will become poor. Allah Azza wa Jal wards off this notion by saying, it is Allah who withholds, and Allah who gives abundantly. That is, He gives abundant provision to whomever He wills, and He withholds from whomever He wills. So if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is withholding something from you, it can make you stronger, make you more patient. And maybe you think you're ready for that responsibility, but you're not, and you're just going to screw it up. So, if it's been withheld, realize it can be for a benefit. And know that if you remain patient and steadfast and still keep doing good, and you still help the best way you can, there's going to be rewards waiting for you on Judgment Day, and He's going to expiate some of your sins. So it's a win-win situation, even if you don't get it in this temporal world. Right? So, don't hate yourself just because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has tested someone with abundant provision. Because abundant provision is still a test. Still going to be a test. Right? Think about it. Let's say you got a rancher with, 100 goats versus a guy who has way more acreage and has way more Wagyu beef livestock, right? Wagyu beef sells for quite a lot. It's really delicious, right? It's delicacy. But he has to really work to take care of that cattle, right? Maintain the land, veterinarian costs. Like, it's still gonna cost you time, money, and effort. So, understand that. Understand that with more rankage comes more responsibility. Alright? So, we have to beware of the evil eye. All control is in His hands, and all matters are directed by Him. Exactly. So, don't be fooled in going to these soothsayers, occultists, those who communicate with jinns and demons through intoxicants, and then transmit to you their messages. Don't be going to them and trying to get some weird secrets for money. A lot of people end up going to these weird occultists because they want more money. And all manners, you have to just remember, like, wow, it's a damn shame to think that some people commit shirk. You have to know that you need to supplicate to Allah. Shaitan and the jinn only promise you lies. Okay? A lot of people for fame and power make a deal with Shaitan. Atheists don't believe that, but, who are they? Withholding wealth does not increase provision, and spending it does not decrease it. Use it in a good cause. When using a good cause, you're going to get a tenfold reward. You may not get it instantly in this world, like, oh, I gave a homeless guy $50. Does that mean you're going to have a Ferrari in your driveway by the end of the night? Not necessarily. But on Judgment Day, you'll see, because Allah is swift in accounting. And He always rewards the doers of good. Moreover, spending is not wasted for those who spend. Rather, on that day they will find what they sent forward, complete and multiplied abundantly. So, good example, got a lot of immigrants coming across the border. Muslims have tons of opportunities now to do charity. Help the believers, but a Muslim doing a good deed towards a non-believer can get them also interested in Islam. Right? Really can. There are a lot of needy orphans coming across the border who need help. Okay? They need help. Do good to the needy children. Abundance is waiting for you. Hence Allah says, and to Him you will all return, and He will reward you for your deeds. Again, exactly. Allah rewards the doers of good. He's swift in accounting. He knows what's within our chest. He knows our intentions. And if we do good deeds, we're doing a goodly loan. It's very important. And remember, whatever you can afford. Children are very simple, very loving. Onesies, pajamas, socks, shoes, diapers, baby wipes. You name it. A breast pump. A lot of health insurances cover a breast pump now. But maybe they're in a place that doesn't have that kind of healthcare coverage. Get a mama her breast pump. Get that little baby fit. These verses indicate that taking measures is of no avail with regard to the divine will and decree, especially measures in which one ignores the command of Allah. They also tell us of a great miracle, which was bringing the dead back to life before people's eyes in this world. We also see the command to fight and spend in the cause of Allah, and He tells us the reasons that should encourage us to do that by calling it a loan and telling us that the reward for it will be multiplied, and that Allah is the one who withholds or gives abundantly, and to Him we will all return. So something to notice here. Some people, some atheists especially, they do this trick where it's like, oh, these charlatans, these Christian preachers, take all your money, and like Joel Osteen, T.D. Jakes, they get caught in corruption scandals, right? They're flying on private jets. There was one, I don't remember where it was in America, but it was a black preacher. He got a fancy watch, he's got an expensive suit, and some criminals came in and robbed him, right? So he was using church money to enrich his outer appearance, right? And not using the money as it was directed. So atheists use examples like that to say if you give money to a church, they're gonna keep it and it's gonna just be stolen, which is true. So they say you waste your money, so don't give it. So what we can do as Muslims, we don't have to tithe like the Mormons. Some Mormons give 10% automatically out of the paycheck. The more you give to the church and let the church dish it out, then they feel like, it's in their hands. We can do individual stuff ourselves, right? I'm not saying Christians can't, but saying that we as Muslims have been given a wonderful opportunity that we can do charity towards our own family and take on objectives ourselves and allow us to see that as good, if it is good, right? And that can help us to earn rewards. So whatever niche thing of charity you want to do, that you can afford to do, that helps someone in a halal manner, Allah is going to reward you for that. It's going to be taken down on your record, right? Written down, it's there, and that is a good thing. So don't think that your money is being wasted. Even if someone steals from you, you got the intention. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knew what you was trying to do. You're still going to get that reward. That person who stole your money is going to be in some trouble. But you are supposed to verify as best you can, right? Be smart. But we know the scammers is getting, wow. There's people who will grift for Gaza and be like, we're going to give this money to Gaza. And then you look at the laws and you see how many laws are preventing charity from going in. How many trucks are being stalled. And you're like, oh, is it really going there? You have to think. It's hard. But there are people who will do that. They'll use a tragedy. Like BLM, Black Lives Matter. Look it up. How many scandals. BLM person raised this much money, bought this mansion. One of the founders, she has multiple mansions. And then people started, I shared some videos in the past, they're investigating like, hey, they're not a 501c3. They haven't really done anything to improve the black community. They haven't done enough charity. Like with all that money they raised, where was it going? And it was going on people's parties, constant, scandals. And then at first, social media tried to hide that. Tried to ban you, call you racist. But now the cat's out of the bag and it's, they can't hold back all the scandals, right? So before you give, know where you're giving it. And sometimes not using an organization and doing it directly yourself, directly to the person is better, right? There's a needy woman you know of at your local school, you can give a gift and that doesn't make her feel embarrassed. Oh, she's pregnant. If you weren't invited to the baby shower, but you see her next time at your kid's pickup, give her a diaper bag full of diapers, some baby toys, whatever. You think of something kind to give to somebody that'll help them and endear them towards the believers. Maybe at your local masjid or your mosque, you go see if there's, you go to talk to whoever runs and say, sisters can submit a need request. I'm just spitballing here. So-and-so needs a mattress. So-and-so needs a lamp for their living room because their kid broke it and they don't have money and they're not near a Goodwill. Whatever it is. And then someone who can look on this list, see the contact information, get in touch with that person and say, hey, I'm going to drop this item off at the masjid, pick it up. You never know. I'm just saying. Anything we can do that's a good deed towards the needy. Okay? That is good. And instead of like someone being like, I'm gonna get me a Chanel bag. Get that bag, get that money, girl, and spend it on something stupid like that. You can just have a regular bag. Like my bag is like a little handmade. Let me show you. This is my bag. It literally has a little llama on it. This is my bag. This was handmade by a Peruvian lady, and this is with llama / alpaca wool, hair, whatever you call it. Okay, and it's cheap. I can have a cheap bag like that, and then use the rest of the money that would have been spent on something stupid like a Chanel bag to help somebody get, something for their kid. You see what I'm saying here? There's so many things, so many ways people can do good deeds. And I think that's awesome how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us so many opportunities to multiply rewards. Okay? Don't just, and also this makes us to be humble. When you give someone something kind to you, may Allah reward you. Thank you for that. You have to be willing to be humble to accept something when you need it. Because some women are very proud. They don't want to accept a charity even though they need it. And their kids need it. So moving pride aside as well is very important. Okay, let me know what you think. Excellent section of this Tafseer. And if you'd like to join my blog, it's www.subscribestar.com/Milahan Archive. Hope to see you there.